During this time of the year, my younger brother Surinder and I often talk about our parents whom we called Pitaji and Jhaiji. It was the beginning of the first winter after our independence. We had just shifted from Jhelum to Meerut cantonment, and a very kindly Siberia commander had temporarily allotted a large house to Pitaji so that he could provide shelter to his refugee relatives. A servant named Pratap had recently joined us. The kitchen in those houses was located at some distance from the main building so that smoke emanating from the coal fire did not disturb us. Therefore, it was customary to employ a bearer to serve food, since the cook could not deliver chapatis when they were baked. On that fateful night in November 1947, when we assembled for dinner, Pratap did not show up. Consequently, the cook was running between the kitchen and the dining room with the food. When Jhaiji inquired about him, she was told that he had suddenly taken ill. She was palpably concerned and wanted to check upon his health at once. But Pitaji had other things to worry about and chided her for being unduly attached with domestic help. The dinner over, we retired to our respective bedrooms. We later learned that Jhaiji warmed some milk for Pratap, and armed with a hurricane lamp, she headed for his room all by herself. When there was no response to her knock at his door, she beckoned other servants. Her fear was that Pratap's condition may have taken a serious turn. The door was forced open only to discover that Pratap had bolted from the window at the other end of the room. When Pitaji learnt of this, his first reaction was to look for his purse, which had indeed been stolen, along with his identity card, his wristwatch, and a costly fountain pen. It seemed that Pitaji had drawn some money on that day from the bank, and Pratap knew about it. An emergency meeting of all adults was summoned, and they were dispatched in different directions to apprehend Pratap. Pratap was found at the railway station, wrapped up in a blanket. He tried to run away when he saw our uncle, but was caught and confessed to his crime at once. He had thrown the identity card in the hedge near the gate, and the rest of the booty was recovered from his person. It was well past midnight by the time this entire operation ended. Pratap was locked up in a room within the house so that he could be handed over to the police the next morning. But fate willed otherwise. Before the sun rose the next morning, Pratap had gone. Jhaiji had opened the door, given him some money, and asked him to vanish from Meerut. Her argument was that Pratap was a child who had sinned. He had sought forgiveness in all earnestness. Pitaji had recovered his valuables and therefore no damage had been done. Her fear was that police would beat him mercilessly and this delinquent child would turn into a hardened criminal. Since there was nothing more which could be done beyond saying a few unkind words to Jhaiji, no more was heard of this episode. Pratap passed into the pages of our family history. For the sake of record, permit me to add that Jhaiji was only 31 years old then. Over the years, I have sinned. However, if and when I have apologized and sought atonement, I have been forgiven. Jhaiji pardoned the trespass of another person's son. The world, in turn, has been kind to her own wayward and errant child.